Namaste, angels. This is the weekly love reading for the period of Sunday the 19th through Saturday the 25th, the Saturday to come, the 25th. There's going to be a lot of 19 probably that shows up. There certainly was in the general reading, and I had talked about 19. I had talked about, prior to doing any of the cards, how 19 is a number that is associated with God the Father. That was shown to me in a vision years ago, or a series of visions years ago with King Osiris, that he was represented by number 19, and we've seen it been proven over and over and over again since. This week the Hebrew month of Av, which means father, begins. So it's kind of like the month of father, and during this month, there's the month of Av, there's two I won't say holidays, sort of like feast days or days of recognition within the month on the Hebrew calendar. The first is the day that recognized the 9th of Av, which recognizes the destruction of the two temples in Jerusalem. And the second is the 15th of Av, which is basically Soulmate Day, something that I've spoken about on this channel and actually taught about in years past on this channel. A soulmate day that was started by King Solomon, so like, thousands of years ago, that is still practiced and recognized and honored today on the Hebrew calendar or Jewish calendar. And this year it would be the year 5780 on the Hebrew calendar. That equals 11. Of course, 11s are 2s, and 2s are about partnership for one thing. And I've definitely been seeing a lot of stuff about partnership in my cards, and I've been talking about a lot of stuff, and I've been reading about a lot of things in the celestial system to you guys in my general readings that indicate stuff going on with partnership. Either basically it's like one side of the spectrum or the other, either coming together in real like soulmate or divine union or twin flame relationships, or severing ties, at least for now. Even those who are sort of bound at the soul level, in some cases, parting ways right now with all that's going on. All right, so that said, let's get into it, beginning with the dice and spiritual partnership. In this case, as it relates to love, since this is the love reading, 29 or 11 or 2. Also, no. So if you had a yes or no question, pondering maybe, no. And sex. Sex. Spirit still says sex, as well as no, but adds spend money. So going to the cards, I have the Rider-Waite deck here. And I have the Angel and Animal Tarot decks here to combine together. So essentially, I'm working with 3 tarot decks so that if numbers or or cards in general want to repeat themselves, they may. I actually forgot to mention in the general reading that I talked about all the new beginnings and stuff, but I meant to point out in one moment it had popped into my head, but I was in the middle of saying something. It popped into my head to mention the fact that there were 3 aces on the table, and what that means. But I was talking about something, and I don't remember ever going back to it. But 3 aces means, I guess what you'd expect it to mean, that we should be prepared for like many, like multiple new beginnings, new opportunities, fresh starts. Changes in our lives, maybe in our own behaviors. We could be, doing something new, deciding to do something new, or in the lives and or behaviors of those around us that, impact us in some way directly. So it's all very, very positive energy. 2 can more specifically point to new beginnings in finances, which is interesting. 2 can also be a move or a major purchase. These are things I mentioned last week because it happened last week too. And I just got reminded of it because one of the cards with which I'm going to begin in a moment is the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands from one of the other decks came out in the general reading. All right, so before I get to the Ace of Wands and what that's about, since this one is in front of it, let's do this first. It is the Knight of Wands in reverse. And in terms of love, it can be about arguments and like minor conflict. Like, don't get paranoid about it in existing relationships. But the way to, get to the bottom of what's going on and what's, at the root is to genuinely address it and to talk about it. One thing we got to be careful of is that like an argument about nothing basically could turn into something like, why'd you leave the toilet seat up? Or, the toilet tissue is turning in the wrong direction. I don't know why my mind is in the bathroom. It could be in, any room, whatever gets on your nerves that's really not that important. Those kind of things can turn into something larger. If you're single and maybe looking for love, it's possible that you might think you've already found the one. You got your eye on somebody, and it's possible that some sort of like permanent, or at least I guess nothing's really permanent necessarily, potentially permanent situation, commitment could come about this week for you. But try to be like sure that you know the person, and like make sure that you at least feel you know the person, whether you actually do or not, before you get too deep and wrapped up with them. So on the positive side, well, first of all, this person may be, of course, a fire sign, or there could be the fire sign energy that's ushering it in, perhaps Jupiter, perhaps Mars, but a fire sign person may actually be involved. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Also, the sun enters Leo this week. So on the 22nd, we'll have on the 21st, we will have had the last day of Cancer, the 22nd, the first day of Leo. And some people say maybe the 22nd is the last day of Cancer and the 23rd is the first day of Leo. Either way, the sun enters Leo this week. And so that's another reason potentially why this card is showing up. Now, again, also on the positive side, this person may very, very well, if the Nine of Pentacles has anything to say about it, this person could be somebody who really thinks highly of you and you them. So that's good. You both hold each other in high regard, equal esteem, respect. There's a very mutual sort of genuineness about the relationship. With this card showing up. This card is also positive for singles because it's about like why you're single. You're not just sitting at home wasting your time. You're getting to know somebody very important, and you're getting to love somebody very important, you. And once you do that, you can, love and get to know anybody else a lot better than you would without really knowing yourself. So it's always a great place to start. This is a wonderful card, whether you're single or partnered. Also up right behind that is the Four of Pentacles. And this card for me is about like not settling. So a lot of people say they see this card, tarot readers, and they're like, oh, you're holding on to something too tightly, or someone else is holding on to you too tightly. And absolutely that can be. And I guess the way I see it, that's kind of what it means too. But I like to go a little deeper and explain like this card, when it says holding on to something too tightly, it's being unwilling to let go of situations and relationships that are not satisfying to you. So I always use the example of like a job, those jobs where you get a paycheck, but that's it. That's the only comfort and happiness that job brings you. You don't like going there. You don't like having to wake up in the morning and, to get down there. You don't like the people. They don't like you. It's just a miserable existence, but I get a paycheck. And sometimes we stay in relationships like that too. Like, I don't like even having to look at this person. They don't like having to look at me. I can't stand them. They can't stand me. But we've got these kids together, so we just stay together anyway. No. Or like the Bad Boys, what Jada and Will said at the end of their Red Table Talk. We ride together, we die together, bad marriage for life. Okay, if that's what you've agreed to and that's what you want, but you don't have to live like that. You don't have to be in a bad marriage for life, especially if you've acknowledged that it's a bad marriage. That's the fact that you have kids together or you have money together or whatever it is. is not really reason enough to be unhappy. Maybe some people figure when you get to a certain amount of money, it's worth it at that point. To me, it's never worth it. I always say life is both too long and too short to be miserable. So get out. Some of you may be holding on to a relationship that really has nothing to offer you, but for this one thing or reason that you continue to cling to it. And this could be the time where the cards and the universe are telling you that it's either time for you to become the Nine of Pentacles in terms of a single person and spend, let go of that and spend some time on yourself instead and getting to know and to love and, like yourself better, or to get rid of that because there's a relationship out there for you where, you really can have equity and reciprocity and genuine happiness. And it might even be, a real soulmate relationship. To take it back to what I was saying in the beginning, this week begins the month of Av, in which soulmate day, according to King Solomon, falls. So we have that. Ace of Wands, pretty straightforward, but, of course, it can mean that if you're single, again, new beginnings, and this one specifically in love, headed your way real soon. We have to make ourselves available, though, like for love, whatever that means to you. So whether it's physically available or emotionally available, maybe we got some sort of walls built up because of an energy like this. Maybe we're holding on to old negative emotions. Maybe it's not an actual relationship or person, but we're holding on to negative emotions of a past relationship, things like regret, resentment, the inability to forgive, and ego, pride, whatever, and these things are preventing us from moving forward, then that's what we have to let go of and make in order to make ourselves available. So whatever it means to you, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, combinations of those, all the above, that's what you're going to want to do if you're actually interested in new love and new relationship. If you're already committed and the ace shows up, it can mean that you and or your partner are about to undergo some sort of new beginning. And whether it's the other person who's going through some sort of personal new beginning and not you, or it's you, or it's both, either way, you will see the positive benefits of it. And your relationship should also rise to, new levels of understanding and happiness, and love. So let's say, for example, it's not about this ace showing up in your life as an individual is not necessarily about love per se. However, your partner or your love interest just got a new job. So now they've got like a new lease on life, right? They're happy. They've been miserable for months. Now they're happy. They're loving life. And so that makes your relationship better too. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's that sort of thing. Now, also an ace can be seen as a 1 or as an 11, just like in regular cards, right? So we'll look at 11 again as a 2, very possibly about partnership. If not partnership, duality is potential, or faith. 2s are about faith. It's particularly when we're talking about manifestation. The 1 is the thought or the idea, the words that we speak over ourselves. The 2 is the faith. I believe I can make this happen in my life with my mind. The 3 is when we begin to see it taking form. And the 4 is when it's actually wholly manifested and we have a solid foundation on which to stand. I went through all of that because right behind it is another 2. Major Arcana card 2, the High Priestess. This is a time to pause and to reflect, not to take action. So you may have a decision to make, but it's like, don't rush to judgment. Don't make the decision just quickly without thinking or without using your intuition and looking within. What does your heart say? What does your soul say? What does your gut say? All that kind of stuff. Make sure you do that before, you make any sort of moves or whatever. That's how the High Priestess moves. In silence, like a G, always. Nothing is hidden from your divine intuition when she is showing up here. The next card is upside down, but I'll go ahead and mention it since it is also Major Arcana. It is Major Arcana card 21, the World. Congratulations on successfully accomplishing what you set out to do. You've made it through the challenges and incorporated the lessons that life offered you with grace and courage. Now, the fact that it's upside down The Six of Cups is right behind it, by the way, also upside down. And then the Three of Swords is behind that. And then another Three of Swords is behind that. And another High Priestess. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, one second. What was I even saying? I was saying about the world, the fact that it's upside down, it still caught me, not only because it's major arcana and it's the world, but because the world for me always feels like fire. And I've tried my best to explain what feels like fire means. I don't do a very good job of it, I don't think. But it feels like fire. That's all I'm going to say. So I've never attributed it to any particular one fire sign. You know, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It could be tied to any. So this could be, you know, Leo energy, let's just say, because again, the sun enters Leo this week. Or it could be maybe attached to the planets, to Jupiter, ruler of the sign of Sagittarius. That's fire too. Or to Mars, the red planet, the planet of, you know, action and aggression, ruler of the sign of Aries. So I don't know, but it's in reverse, as was who? The Knight of Swords. The Knight of Wands. I put him in the wrong position. I put him under the Nine of Pentacles. So this world could be attached to this and this Four of Pentacles. Why do I say that? Because for me, the world is about something coming full circle, or a phase completing, maybe a karmic cycle completing. And so the way that the universe rewards you is by easing you out of whatever that situation that you were stuck in, or you felt stuck in, or that you failed to leave for whatever reason, easing you out of that. So maybe it's easing you out of that Four of Pentacles situation, maybe, and into a new situation that is far better for you. It's going to require a free will choice, though, likely. So that's where the High Priestess comes in, because this is where you figure out, what do I want to do? What is my next move before you actually make it? I want to talk about these, though, because that was really interesting to me. So I put this out of order too. All right. So the Ace of Wands is first. Then the High Priestess, also upright. Then we saw the World, Major Arcana card 21. I just told you what that is about to me. This was in reverse. I think it's in reverse because the Knight of Wands is also in reverse. Then behind it, the Six of Summer. Six of Summer, or Cups, is in fact the soulmate card of the tarot. Can also be about exes and things returning. So people that were already in our lives, people from our past. It can be about letting go, maybe, of experiences from our past as well, or memories, like I was just saying, negative emotions that maybe we're holding on to from some past relationship that is blocking us from newness now. We're not emotionally available because we're caught up in what? Three of Swords. Also in reverse. Sadness is part of life, but you don't have to endure it alone. You may need a little time to heal, but once you work your way through the emotions, you'll be stronger than before. So some of us definitely need to Nine of Pentacles, right? We need to spend some time working on us before we're worried about getting into another relationship. Again, like I said, right behind that is another Three of Swords. Great sadness. Take time to heal. There's a need to forgive yourself and others. Well, speaking of forgive yourself, there's another feast day this week that I failed to mention on the Christian calendar. So I talked about the Hebrew calendar. On the Christian calendar this week falls two feast day, actually, but one in particular I want to mention, and especially speaking of soulmates, the feast day of the Saint Mary Magdalene, who many believe to have been Jesus's soulmate, or twin flame, or, you know, divine feminine, or however you want to refer to it. So, and she was also said to, in my general reading, I read from franciscanmedia.org, where they say that, you know, at this point, they don't even believe that Mary Magdalene was this, you know, sinner from the Bible. They think that she was confused with somebody else, and they were correcting that. Some of you may be interested in listening to that, but whether she was or she wasn't, it doesn't matter at this point, especially. And she is the patron saint of people who are wanting to make penance, people who are sorry, people who are seeking forgiveness. So that just reminded me of this too, or people that need to extend forgiveness and to let something go. So that may be why these threes of swords are showing up. And again, like I said, there's another high priestess as well. So we really, really have to check in with ourselves before we make any moves or decisions. You know, not necessarily checking in with anybody else and not trying to be a people pleaser and do what anybody else would have us do. This is really about listening to your heart, your intuition, your gut before you make a move or a decision, and not worrying about being able to actually do that. You have the strength and the wherewithal this week. Speaking of the sign of Leo, Major Arcana card 11 or another 2, you have the strength to face any and everything that comes your way. Great inner strength. Release harsh judgments. Instead, exercise some forgiveness and compassion. I mean, I could go on for days doing this because guess what's behind it? Another Knight of Wands in reverse. Passionate, adventurous, self-assured, and restless. A sudden event that needs immediate attention. Time is of the essence. Think things through carefully. So again, an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius may be particularly significant, or this energy that we're experiencing here, we're seeing here, in this scenario, or these scenarios that, you know, sort of being illustrated, could be brought on by the fire planets. Again, maybe Mars, maybe Jupiter. I mean, like I said, I could keep going on because now I have like the Page of Swords. The High Priestess is Gemini energy for me also, and or water. And right behind it, we have the Moon, Major Arcana card 18, the Moon. And that's another celestial event that occurs this week, or another major event. So now I did Jewish, now I did Christian, and here's celestial on the 20th, which is the Monday, the day after the day that on which this reading starts, is the new moon in Leo. Should be in Leo. Yeah. So there's all of that. All right. So let's look at some Rider-Waite cards more carefully. We'll just push those over there for now. Let me get the stands again. Why do I keep doing that? I did that earlier too. I'm like, that's not right. They got to be like this. All right, so you're going to be able to see. Just trying to get the, there we go. Just wanted to make sure everything was in frame good. All right, so I'm going to put the cards up first because I want to be able to flip this back over so that we have our overall energy in our face as well the whole time. So this card is for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. It is the Empress upright. Wow. So we saw the High Priestess twice and the Empress. This is sort of looking like last week's reading. Both of these cards, the Empress and the High Priestess, extremely intense sexual energy, as well as spiritual energies, particularly from the High Priestess. So we could combine those in some cases and maybe be getting into some like tantric sex and stuff, which may be physical or maybe a connection that you're having with somebody energetically without actually connecting with them in person, or, you know, telepathically connecting with a mate, or in your dreams or something even could be happening, especially with the moon also having shown up. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Oh, that's your energy. It's the Page of Pentacles in reverse. And of course, that could be representative of you, or maybe there's some earth on earth action happening. This is potentially earth too, because it represents Venus and the signs that she rules. So Taurus, it's very, she's sitting out here in the earth. It's very earthy and mother. I'd say Taurus first, then Libra, then Gemini, as she is also the esoteric ruler of the sign of Gemini. Speaking of Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, this is our card. And it is our energy, the King of Swords, who showed up in the general as well. Interesting. So similarly is what I said to them. There could be some earth on earth stuff happening. There could be some air on air stuff happening, and maybe particularly Gemini, since we have Gemini showing up here and now there. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Water signs, your card is Another World in reverse. Very interesting. We just saw the World in reverse in the other deck. And that was part of the little rant that I went on. So, oh, let me turn this back over. Maybe do this too. Is that good? Okay. I'm kind of covering the Nine of Pentacles. All right. Okay, yeah. So, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Again, your card is Major Arcana card, the Empress. She is upright. It does represent Venus, ruler of the signs of Taurus, Libra, and Gemini. So one of those signs may be significant to you. Maybe you're in a relationship with one of those signs or have an interest in one of those signs. That's a very possibility, which would be strengthened by whatever I say here in this regard. So this is a very strong and potent, again, time for sex and love, particularly love. I mean, Venus is the planet of love. And then on top of that, she's like, you know, even more specifically, the feminine planet of love, because Mars is also a planet of love. And they did come together, speaking of that, in the general reading. Let me just keep putting these things out there. I always recommend that people watch both, because then they get to really see what went down. So you got to be careful with how you use this energy. It's so strong that it could be underestimated and then thereby misused, and not necessarily maliciously, you know, accidentally misused. And certainly if it's maliciously, the way the karma works and the way that this energy works, because it's so, it could come back around and bite you in the ass totally. So you don't want to take it for granted or just throw it around. If you're single and looking, and even if you're single and not looking, real soulmate love the kind you would expect to show up for soulmate day, or the month in which soulmate day falls, could be coming your way. And I know I've been saying this the past several weeks. So, you know, I just think it's been the lead-in. There's been a lot of upheaval so that there could be this, like destroying what doesn't work so that we can start fresh with new stuff. And I think that's why all the aces are showing up too. If you're already in some sort of committed relationship, just expect it to get even better, right? Deeper, stronger, maybe again, a lot of heightened sexual energy between the two of you this week. Trust that you are very attractive to your partner. You do want to be careful with balance though, because again, this can be so like overwhelming, can get to be like too much, and then you fall out of balance. So just watch that. Also, pregnancy is potential, especially when we also consider the Knight of Wands and the Ace of Wands that we already saw. Moving on to the earth signs. So you could find yourself maybe like bored with your partnership if you're already in a committed relationship, and even with a wandering eye this week, maybe toward, you know, somebody Venus-like, because this is again going to be somebody that's exuding attractiveness and sexual energy and feminine energy, just like pouring off of them. So maybe that's what it is, or this could be you again as a Taurus potentially. Attracting everybody and liking it, because again, you might be bored right now with your relationship, but you need to think about if that's a temporary feeling and thought, like fleeting, or if you want out, because you might want out and you might feel stuck, and you might just, this, you know, could be attached to that Four of Pentacles, and this could be the week where it's saying it's time to go, if that's the case. But you're going to have to decide that. You're going to have to go within. You're going to have to do Nine of Pentacles to figure out if it's Four of Pentacles. And if it's time to go, you need to steal away. The Fool in reverse says that maybe we want our independence more than we want a relationship. Sometimes even people that think they want relationships, Fool in reverse shows up for them, and they got to, you know, really think about themselves and what they really want. And it's like, you know what? I have been focused more on me and my wants, and not really letting somebody in, not being emotionally available myself or physically available myself. I throw myself into my work, like all these sorts of things. So that's what you got to think about. if you're in one of these relationships and feeling like, why am I in it? And if you're single, those things that I just mentioned, like maybe because you've been single, you said, well, yeah, I'm not doing anything else. I might as well throw myself into my work. Are you leaving time for relationships if you claim to want one? Do you really want one? Those might be things that you might want to think about, a la Nine of Pentacles. Moving on to the air signs with the King of Swords. So he is very strong and forceful and masculine. Mercury is a masculine planet. Again, if you're a Gemini, our other ruler is Venus. So I guess we can get some sort of balance there. We do have duality as the twin, the sign of the twins. But Venus rules Libra. So they would be more the feminine. And Uranus rules Aquarius. So that's more masculinity. All right. So this King of Swords, he exudes all that. He's very, very forceful and opinionated and all that. And sometimes, of course, if that goes like too much, if that becomes too much, it can become a negative thing if it gets out of balance in that sense. You know, like toxic masculinity, I guess. But to his credit, and on the positive side, he's extremely diplomatic and able to see things from all sides and, you know, a fair and decent person, but just stern and, you know, sticks to their guns and says what they mean and means what they says and doesn't let anybody push them around, all that kind of stuff. If this is an actual man in your life or masculine energy in your life, it means that you are going to have to accept this person as they are, whether you or they are male or female. Again, if it's a masculine energy, your best bet in dealing with this person who gives off this kind of energy is by drawing on your feminine aspects. So again, that may be easier for us Geminis and Libras to do, perhaps more so than us Aquarians. But we're all going to have to do that if we're wanting to deal with this King of Swords. Alternatively, we might be the King of Swords. This could be our energy. Maybe you are the masculine air sign. And if that's the case, then you need to draw on your own inner feminine to come more into balance. That's going to be helpful to you in terms of relationships. Like with the Queen of Swords, be careful about being too forceful and overstepping your boundaries with this energy. There may be, like I said before, some air on air situations happening similar to Earth on Earth. And anything, any number of things could be going on here. So moving on to the water signs, your card is the World in Reverse, which is interesting because we all shared a World in Reverse with the other two decks just a moment ago. So if you've been in a long-term relationship, similar to these earth signs, maybe, you might be feeling a little bored too. Well, not really bored. You might be feeling a little stuck. Now, this came up too, this energy of being stuck, not specifically for water signs, but specifically for the feminine and the general. Maybe more so water sign feminine or females. So you could be feeling stuck and like bored, stagnant, the relationship's not moving. It's just here. And then what do we do with it? Are we interested in doing anything with it? So if you are, then, well, first you need to be like honest with yourself and think about it. So maybe you got to do some introspection and be the, Nine of Pentacles, make use of this energy. And then once you decide that you're interested in saving a relationship and growing it, this card makes that possible. It helps that to be possible. There's room for it to grow into something better. Like I said, the world is about you easing out of what doesn't work for you, what isn't beneficial to you, and easing into what is, appropriate for you and better fitting. So all you got to do is make the conscious free will choice, you and the partner, because it takes two to make a thing go right, to decide that you do want to, in fact, be in the relationship and get it moving forward. If you are single, similar to what I said about The earth's, both the earth sign and the fire signs, then you got to make yourself available, basically. Don't be afraid to like get out and mingle, especially if there's like a social event or something that you're able to participate in, even if it's, you know, online or something, because people can't be in person where you are or whatever. If you're able to mix and stuff with other people or talk to somebody, pen pal, whatever you got to do, you should. And, you know, not be afraid to like put yourself out there. If you close yourself off because of fear, then you're going to remain stuck, right? Nothing's going to change. So all the difference will be made by you, you know, making some sort of moves. All right. I'm tempted to. In the general reading, I don't remember what cards y'all got, but for whatever reason, I decided to, the 9 of Wands in reverse. So I see wands here in her hand. She's got these 2 batons, one in each hand, and she's in reverse. So now that's like another 2 that I'm seeing. The 2 of Wands in reverse is actually positive. So this is about rest and recovery, but like you coming out of it. You're coming out of that rest and recovery, and you're ready to make a decision. And you see the 3 of Swords is over here in the corner. The 4th sword is down here. So maybe you were stuck because there had been some pain or separation or something, and you just had trouble getting beyond it. But that doesn't mean the relationship has to be over. The fact that this 4 of Swords is in reverse says that there's an interest in moving beyond the, you know, break. So again, you'll need to, you know, make the effort if you guys want to be together. You may have to make the effort to do so, but definitely this sort of partnership can be saved. But there was that's probably why we saw those 3s of Swords. It's probably for the water signs. And actually, I'm thinking that the water signs did have the 3 of Swords in my reading. Like 3 weeks ago, you had the 3 of Swords. Then the week after that, you had the Tower. Oh, no, that was the earth signs. Oh, but I said that maybe you guys are dealing with an earth sign. Didn't I say that a minute ago? So maybe that's it. And I think that was actually the scenario before too, water and earth. And I think in most cases, what I was seeing was that the earth sign had hurt the water sign. And it was the water sign that was having to, you know, nurse themselves back. So it looks like you're ready to do that again with this 4 of Swords in reverse. And we see he has 1 sword by his side. So that's like an ace of swords. So we're ready for that new beginning after having been hurt before by the 3 of Swords. All right, so here's another 3, and here's another 2 wands, just like the 2 wands that are in this feminine's hand on the picture of the world. So there's 2 wands. The 2 of Wands on its own is actually the Divine Union or Twin Flame card of the Tarot. So I see that these are, again, Twin Flame or Soulmate or Divine Union relationships that had like temporarily fallen apart, but will come back together. That doesn't necessarily mean this week, because you got the 3 of Wands here. So the 3 of Wands, like the world, first of all, this is a 3 of fire, and I said the world feels like fire to me. So the world is kind of like a 3 of fire also, because it's Major Arcana card 21, which equals 3. But both cards can require us to be a little bit patient. And the 3 may be significant. It could be like 3 months, which would put you in October, which would make sense because I mentioned October, I think, last week. I believe so. I think I talked about making it through the Lion's Gate. Was that last week? I don't know. But anyway, 3s are about patience. So it probably wouldn't happen overnight, but you know, it could be 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. It's coming. Or this 3 again could be representative of perhaps a party of 3. Maybe that's what caused the pain and the hurt. Some sort of betrayal, affair or something is possible. Again, I'm feel primarily that applies to somebody or bodies listening that were relationships between water signs and earth signs. But look, the most romantic card in the tarot, or one of the most romantic cards in the tarot, the King of Cups. The King of Cups. So it was something, again, it gets resolved. It works out. Everybody wants the King of Cups to turn up in their spread, but you guys got it. Water signs. It looks like you earned it because there was some difficulty there. But there's if there are any cards, there's only a couple, that might be more loving than the King of Cups. In the tarot, maybe the lovers themselves. What else? Maybe the Queen of Cups. She might be a little bit more emotional than the King, but he's definitely at the top of the list. And it's about balance. I was just talking about imbalance. He's about balanced masculine and feminine energy. So again, if you're single, and you're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about because I haven't had an affair, I'm single, whatever. It can still apply to you. It's about your own inner masculine and feminine needing to come into balance. If you are in a relationship, and especially one that has had some trouble, some difficulties, whether it was separation or some sort of pain that was inflicted upon one or the other, then you need balance not only in your relationship, but maybe in your, individually within yourselves as well, too. And again, if you're single and looking for love, having, recently recovered maybe, or fairly recently recovered from some sort of pain, or you just needed a break. You just needed to spend some time with yourself, getting to know yourself and love yourself and all that kind of stuff. That this is an indication of the love that's on its way to you. I'm tempted to pull another one, but I'm also kind of feeling like, quit while you're ahead. It's the Two of Wands in reverse. How freaking hilarious is this? Like fun, not funny, haha, obviously, but funny, like, yeah. I was just talking about the Two of Wands in reverse because that's what I see when I look at this world card. You see her with the baton, one in each hand. It's the Two of Wands in reverse. So definitely, again, like I said, soulmate or twin flame, whatever you want to call it, relationships for the water signs. But I feel them potentially for everybody. But even you guys that maybe thought like, well, not me because I just went through this, so it can't be possible. I thought that was my mate. I thought that was my soulmate or my twin flame or my, divine masculine or feminine, but look what happened. So they must not be. That's it. That's not, I would go with my first gut feeling that you had before about that person. And that takes us back to the high priestess, right? And paying attention again to your intuition and your gut. What is it telling you about that person? Is it saying that it's really over, or that they're not your mate that as you thought they were just because you've parted ways? Or is it saying they still are, but this is just a period of separation that you guys, or something, indifference of some sort that you guys are going to make it through, and you'll figure that out by going within and talking and communicating, being the King of Swords, maybe saying what you meaning what you say, get to the heart of the matter and the truth of the matter. Music just started playing in my other room. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's Teddy Pendergrass, and I have a viewer that would connect with this Teddy Pendergrass stuff. I used to hear him all the time during my readings. Don't Leave Me This Way. Can you hear it? I don't know who's listening to it, like one of my kids. Or maybe it's on a commercial or something. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but so that may apply to what we were just talking about. Like somebody that wants to salvage the relationship. Don't leave me this way. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I was going to like end the reading there because I think I could. But let's go ahead and do the spread from the perspective of the masculine and see if we can figure anything else out. And then I will bid you guys adieu. Of course, if you are satisfied with the one spread and You don't want to watch another, I'm okay with that too. I appreciate you having watched this far. I can get greedy for answers sometimes. Like I said, I mean, I guess it's the Gemini in me, right? We're supposed to be super inquisitive and stuff like that. Curious. Okay. Maybe I should have quit while I was ahead. Like I said, this is the 5 of fire, 5 of wands. It is about conflict. And for me, it's first and foremost, if it's not about a person being conflicted, like they're with themselves, which that is possible. We just saw that. Then it is close friends and or family. And that includes, you know, intended mates or actual mates or ex-mates and all that kind of stuff. Or it could be some sort of competition. So maybe like a party of 3 or something, competition for your mate or for you. Very possible, especially if you are a fire sign. Again, with the Empress showing up representing you, there could be competition over you. A lot of people attracted to you or something. The next card is the Moon. As you guys know, the Moon always shows up in my readings when the Moon is about to show up, either a full moon or a new moon. And again, there is a new moon on Monday. It's important to trust your intuition. Even if you're unsure of what's happening, all will be revealed soon. So worry is unnecessary, as I just told you. Moon most directly represents the sign of Pisces. That might be the water sign that's affected here. If you've made a decision about something, even if that decision is to separate, even though you think this person is your partner, but you don't like the way they're treating you right now, you don't have to take anybody's bullshit, like I told you with the King of Swords, then you put your foot down. Your battles, beliefs, and decisions. Just, you know, senselessly do stuff. And behind that, the Emperor, major arcana card, the Emperor, which represents the planet Mars, ruler of the signs of Aries. So that could be your fire, Aries and Sagittarius. Well, no, not Sagittarius, Scorpio, but I may have said Sagittarius for some reason. I'm not sure what the reason is, but maybe it resonates with one of you. So the card representing the feminine this week in this spread is the Knight of Air, Knight of Swords, intelligent, decisive, idealistic, and tireless. Events that occur with great speed. Take time to carefully review your options so you can come up with creative solutions. So the Knight of Air is a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, and tends to be about a decision that we're awaiting or that we're needing to make ourselves, and maybe having a lot going on, and we're encouraged to like go ahead and pursue those things that we really, really want. Like not to necessarily sit down and be patient, but to get off our butts and go after stuff. Also, if you are awaiting news, it's like you're likely going to hear what you want to hear very soon. And specifically in terms of love, the Knight of Swords is one of those cards you're about to be swept off your feet in terms of love. So that's for the feminine. The masculine, as it relates to the feminine and this card, the Knight of Water, or Cups. So again, maybe some air, also air, not just fire. I mean, not just earth, air and water relationships too, maybe. Emotional, romantic, enthusiastic, and contemplative, falling in love, or wedding proposals, the need to balance emotions, and an invitation to a social event. And maybe I said not just fire because could be specifically for some Scorpios, because that also, there was Scorpio energy that showed up about 3 or 4 times in the general too. And Scorpio is in part ruled by Mars, again, the red planet. Planet of action and aggression. Knight of Cups is often somebody returning to your life, whether you were involved romantically before or not. So it could be like a good friend or something. You never tried a relationship. Now they're going to come back into your life and you are going to try a relationship. Or it could be like an ex or something that is returning. If not, it can also be a new situation. And again, you really feel yourself falling in love, maybe even being swept off your feet, as they say. I'm going to go ahead and move those. The masculine as it relates to himself. A major arcana card 19. What did I say in the beginning before I laid in the cards? So we might see the 19 because this is the month of Father. Starts this week and he is represented by the number 19. And the number 19 showed up in the general. The sun showed up in the general, and it's back. So I'm glad that he see himself this way, in the position of father, or, divine masculine. Happy outcome, brilliant new ideas that lead to success if you have confidence in yourself. So, thrilled to see his confidence up as well. Major Arcana card 19 represents the planet Jupiter, ruler of the sign of Sagittarius most directly. However, for me, I sometimes attribute it to the sign of Leo in a more stronger, more strongly, because Earth's actual sun, or Earth's actual star, the sun, rules the sign of Leo, actually. Not Sagittarius. It's just Sagittarius in the tarot. Maybe that's why I had that slip of the tongue with the Sagittarius a moment ago when I meant to say Scorpio. I don't know. But they could be particularly significant as well. Sagittarius. The masculine on the union or connection as a whole this week. Major Arcana card 21, the world. Job well done, joy, contentment, and gratitude, and the path toward enlightenment. Some sort of cycle ending. Could be a cycle of separation, could be a cycle of misunderstanding, could be a cycle of, lack of movement, and feeling stuck. And now we're going to start to move out of that. Overall, speaking of being stuck, Major Arcana card 15, ego or the devil. A false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on material things, negative or fear-based thoughts. This card most directly represents the sign of Capricorn, and it is about feeling stuck, not necessarily really being stuck. You just need to use your free will choices to get yourself up out of the situation. So that could be going on. Also, both of the rulers of both of these signs, Sagittarius and Scorpio, Pluto and Jupiter, both located in Capricorn, retrograde right now, as is Capricorn's own ruler, Saturn. So that could be something. What energy the masculine would have the feminine give to the union or connection this week? If it was up to him, what would he be having her do? Victory, positivity, looking forward to recognition and honor, and victory. Good news is on its way. And being expectant of good news and to hear good things. Public recognition or awards. This is super positive. This is abundance coming in this case, love. And we're still in that element of fire. What energy the masculine himself is willing to give to the union or connection this week? Speaking of fire, the King of Fire or Wands. Motivational, idealistic, ambitious, and charismatic. Focus, focus, focus. Communicate with vision and be a leader. Take advice from someone creative if that opportunity comes up. What energy the universe or God would have either archetype, masculine or feminine, or both to give to the union or connection this week? Boom. The Ace of Fire. An exciting new opportunity. Career advancement is possible too. Change your life now. So the new beginnings is what the universe wants to help us with. And another one of those, 11 or 2 cards. And the outcome. Boom. I say my work here is done. The 6 of Water or Cups. Memories from your history or childhood. Issues regarding children and romanticizing the past. So this is definitely, meeting new people. Again, the 6 of Cups is a soulmate card. Or having somebody return to your life, your actual soulmate. Or growing in commitment. Deepening in commitment with an actual soulmate, divine union, twin flame partner this week. Further advice from each of the decks to each archetype. From the animal tarot to the masculine, the Three of Spring, Three of Wands, which is one of the other, yeah, it's right here behind the King of Cups. Stop to take time to review and to make long-term plans, capitalizing upon your past successes. Your past successes. Maybe a past relationship is your past success, and that's what you need to get back into. It's appropriate to pat yourself on the back for all of your accomplishments, but you may also need some patience in order for the next phase to play out, just like I said about the World and the Three of Wands itself. So there's that for the masculine. For the feminine, Major Arcana card 7, the Chariot, the ultimate card of victory in the tarot. Can be about movement or moving, as can be multiple aces, as I mentioned at the beginning too. You can successfully balance various or opposing energies at once through determination and focus. You've earned the rewards and the recognition that you are receiving. What was this card here for the feminine? The Six of Wands. Victory, good news is on its way. Public recognition or awards. You've earned the rewards and recognition that you are receiving. Feminine. Major Arcana card 7, the Chariot, most directly represents the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, by the way. From the Angel Tarot to the masculine, womp womp, the Five of Earth, Five of Pentacles, fears surrounding money, the wisdom to accept help from others on a more positive note, and again going back toward the negative, uncertain self-employment. So this is a card that is about fear. It's similar to the Devil in that it tends not to be anything that we actually need to worry about. First of all, when you're into manifestation and prayer or focused intentions or whatever, you shouldn't be worrying anyway. My mother used to always say, if you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. And I've shared that with you many, many times. And it is true. They conflict, right? You can't do both. Either you believe that you can bring something to pass or you don't. There's a lot of positivity here. So this is all about you using your free will to let go of these fears or to work your way through them however you need to. And lastly, for the feminine, a similar card of fear. The Seven of Air, Swords, which we also saw. Was it behind this? It was the next card. Yeah, the Seven of Swords. And I talked about stealing away. Plans and revision. More going on than meets the eye and poor timing. Seven of Air or Swords. For me, I call it the card of like joy stealing. And I remind people that we have the ability to steal our own joy, and that's often what this card is representing. It's by being unwilling to take a risk or a chance on ourselves, on love, you know, being afraid to, we put ourselves at risk of missing out on joy and happiness and stealing our own joy just simply because we lack confidence or esteem. So make sure that that is not you. Seven of Swords can also be about a mate or ex or something returning to your life on a more positive note. Hope you guys have enjoyed the love reading. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to talk about it or have any questions, please, if you're able to. I know sometimes things are personal, so you guys like to message me and email me and all that kind of stuff. But if you're able to, put it in the chat, because now YouTube swears that that's what, you know, YouTubers need in order for the algorithm to do right. So please do put the comments, actually drop it down below. And if you're not yet a subscriber, please consider becoming one. And if you do decide to, hit both the subscribe button and the bell button. And, you know, we'll all put our hands together and pray that you get your notifications if you go so far as to do that. And if you like any services or anything from me, the information for any and all of that will be in the description box as well. Thanks again. Namaste.